Hey you witches, how you doing today? It's a hot one here in Alberta today. It is gonna feel like 30 degrees and yeah, pardon, that's the strappiness, the pulled back ponytail. I'm riding the heat wave, if you will. Today I want to talk a little bit about proving validity in witchcraft. And it's not so much a virtual response, but I watched a video called Leveling the Witch's Playing Field by the Sunshine State Witch, and it really got me thinking about all of this. So I will post her video, link to her video in the description below. For those of you who are new here, my name is Taya, and welcome to the channel where we talk about all sorts of things witchcraft. Especially traditional witchcraft related. And yeah, for those of you who are returning viewers, maybe coming in from another video, welcome back. Thank you so much. And for all of you, please consider subscribing. It's a great way to help us build the channel. So proving validity in witchcraft. What am I talking about? Well, human nature is we always sort of want to prove ourselves, right? To demonstrate that we're just as good as the next guy. And this tendency follows us in the witchcraft community. Especially I find in the general pool of witches. The witches who aren't part of a formal tradition or coven structure, who are kind of, we're all just sort of free floating out there. I notice it most when we talk one-on-one, like one witch to another, and I especially see it in online forums, especially in like comments where, somebody's made a post and people are commenting, and this is how you'll see it. Well, as a practicing witch of 15 years, or as an eclectic space witch, I truly believe, blah, 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 or as the former high priestess of XYZ, and we tend to throw in those little caveats prior to giving our opinion. And it's like they aim to prove that our opinion is valid and that our opinion should be taken into consideration. And I'll be honest, I am totally guilty of this. I have a terrible habit of leading with my years of practice because it's a big number, right? But what does it really mean and why do we do it? Let's start with the why. The first one, and I think a big part of it, is the witchcraft community is predominantly women. Not all women, there are definitely a good section of men in our witchcraft communities, but we are predominantly women, and we are conditioned to being spoken over and not taken seriously. That our opinions are only worth 3/4 of what a man's opinion is worth. A really great example from my mundane life, former life, I used to work in foreign exchange, and the men I worked with would be like, oh, I'm in foreign exchange, I'm in Forex, I'm in finance. I was like, oh, I'm a communications officer for an international foreign exchange company. Right? I always had to say the whole spiel. Otherwise, people would just be like, oh, are you the secretary? So, just an example, right, of where I would do that sort of caveat, where I would add in the little extra bump. Because my opinion always seemed to be less valid. Second reason why we do this, there is no universal witchcraft system. Each practitioner is left to validate their own practice however they see fit. So whether it's how many years they've been practicing, their type of craft, they're like, I'm a hedge witch, I'm a kitchen witch, I'm a green witch. Whether it's an arbitrary title they've given themselves, or maybe somebody else has given to them, but I say arbitrary because it doesn't necessarily mean anything to people outside of that tradition. Or by a type of tradition, right? They're a Wiccan or a Gardnerian Wiccan. I'm a traditional witch. I'm a folkloric witch. Just that kind of an idea, right? Where there are definite types of traditions. And the third reason we do it, because witchcraft is a moving target. There is no end game, no one way, no right way. So we're all using different metrics to validate our differing crafts. So what does this all really mean? I guess to me, it just becomes exhausting, right? When do we get to be enough? When do we get to be a part of the conversation without having to prove our validity first? Well, I say now. As of now, I am going to endeavor to stop putting those little validators into my conversations. And more importantly, I am going to listen to everyone regardless of their years of experience, their title, their tradition, etc. No one's opinion is invalid. Now, sometimes people have an opinion and you're like, I don't agree with that. And that's usually where well, as a witch of, 15 years, or, you know, as a da-da-da-da-da, this is the opinion. Why can't we just say, you know, I've learned this, right? No one's opinion is invalid. Sometimes it might, you know, somebody might be presenting something that we don't agree with, and we can certainly disagree. But again, why do we need the validator? I feel like the witchcraft community would be a whole lot more positive and welcoming if everyone got to express their opinions, from the very, very new to the very, very established, from the eclectic free-for-allers to the Wiccan traditionals, from your basic witches to your high priestess of Avalon 3 times removed. We are all valid. Period. The little validators we add to the conversation can also be very intimidating, and at times they can come off as arrogant. And while I think most of us do it from a genuine place of trying to prove our validity to ourselves, right? We don't feel like I have an opinion and that's worth being heard. We feel like, oh, I need to like validate why I should be allowed to have an opinion. But it comes across not so nicely. Right? It might come from a place of personal, I don't want to say insecurity. I mean, I'm not insecure, but I still like to throw out those validators, right? But it can come across as not so nicely. So I guess that's my point here. We don't need to do it. We are all valid. We are all worthy of having an opinion. And everyone's opinion is worth at least listening to and evaluating on its own merit. I'm not saying you have to agree with everyone, but we can at least listen to others, consider that they have valid opinions, and just do it because we respect our fellow practitioners. Anyways, I feel like I've gone off on a huge tangent here, but I guess it's just food for thought. And I mean, you know, I do have 25 years experience after all. All right, guys, do you have, you know, leave me a comment. What do you think? And otherwise, yeah, we'll catch you in the next video. Mwah. Thanks so much.